Initiating System 1. System 1 loaded.
The GoreCast is brought to you by American Horrors, the greatest uncut horror channel in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all horror. As well as the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head.
America's longest running horror channel, www.withoutyourhead.com.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
What is going on, everybody? It's Tuesday. You know what that means. We are the GoreCast, and this is original versus remake. Probably can't see my eyes because my hat's kind of covering them. Yeah. How are you doing, everybody in the chat? Giz is here. He said, fuck YouTube. I agree. He's not getting his notifications. I see Sweet Rabbit. I see Gator. I see somebody else. Bree. There we go. I see Michael Carter, and I see Buzz, and I see Bill. All per usual. How are you doing, everybody? How are you doing, Carter? I said Bill. Hi, Bill. Just in case. You're doing? Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, that's what I'm doing, man. How about you?
I am doing. Can't see the label. Maybe I didn't want to show the label. I'm just drinking beer. That's it. I don't care what it is. It's beer. And I'm happy. Damn it. The voices in my head are too early right now. It's too early for this. So yeah. So today we have, I almost said The Omen, but that was the last week. This week we have other creepy children in Village of the Damned. And oh, were they creepy. And oh, were they boring.
Yes.
So happy the movies were not that long.
No lie, dude.
It was like, I don't know. I'll get into it when we get into discussion. I didn't hate them, but I was just like, yeah. It was. I mean, it's better than fucking. You know, you got my bar. It's like as long as you're better than Mother Krampus, doing all right.
No, I didn't hate it. This was my first time for seeing the original. I'd seen the remake like a dog stage ago, so this was like fresher.
Yeah,
and I'm liking it more this time than I did the first time.
Yeah, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. I don't want to get into. Hey guys, I don't want to give away the juicy tidbits of my opinions right away. But just know that there'll be some opinions. So yeah, so Village of the Damned, it was 1960, and the remake was in 1995, the year of 95. I don't know. Stuff happened in 95. I was 10 years old in 1995. I was a wee one still. But as per usual at a GoreCast spectacular episode that we normally do, we got news bits. Thrice news bits. And a couple of them had to do with wolves. They're werewolves or wolvy type creatures. So we'll get into first wolvy type creature film. And it's going to have Danny Trejo and Tobin Bell in it. Some key horror icons. You'd think they're icons, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
So I don't know what part they play in the movie because it just doesn't really say who plays who, but they're in the movie, so that's cool. Uh, da-da-da-da-da. It is called Wolf Mountain, and it follows Al, who begins having vivid dreams of his parents' death. He decides to go back to the spot where they were killed 20 years before, accompanied with his brother and his brother's family. But legend has it that there is something mysterious roaming in the woods. Um, there is no release date set, but I thought it was a fun little story because it has Tobin Bell and Danny Trejo. And it seems like we're getting a lot of like wolves-ish, like in the woods type movies recently.
Dude, I'm down for that though. I mean, like zombies have had their run. It's time to kind of. I'm happy to see kind of a little bit of a switch up. Get back to vampires, werewolves, mummies. I don't care.
It's like kind of it is going into a little bit more of reality. At least I'm assuming because it doesn't say specifically werewolves. I mean, they could be werewolves. It just says wolves. So like.
Right.
It gets into more of the reality aspect of it, which like is nice with horror. I mean, it's nice to have your fantasy horror films and the stuff that obviously ain't gonna happen in real life, but sometimes the true terror is stuff that could happen to you whenever.
Yeah, no, that's no lie.
But yeah, like I said,
I'm stoked as long as Trail and Bell are in it for more than like.
Yeah, and like I mean, Bell, what was that one that he was in?
Dark House.
Yeah. Are we good? Oh, I thought you were saying something like we were frozen or something. Okay. Yeah, he was in that Dark House. I thought he did actually a really good job in that film. So he brings the creepy. He brings the creepy. So I'm very interested in seeing what creepiness he brings to Wolf Mountain. So next up, this sounds amazeballs. Netflix is set to release a live action film based on a comic book written by Keanu Reeves. Written by Keanu Reeves. It's called Berserker, and he is a brutal epic, or it is a brutal epic saga of an immortal warrior's 80,000 year fight through the ages. Known as B, he is half mortal and half god, cursed and compelled to violence, even at the sacrifice of his sanity. After wandering through the earth for centuries, he has found refuge as working for the U.S. government to fight. Turn the page. Battles too dangerous for anyone else. In exchange, he is granted the thing he desires, the truth about his endless blood-soaked existence and how to end it. That is what that comic book is about. I didn't know he wrote a comic book.
Yeah, I didn't either. No, I mean, like, it sounds cool, but it also kind of sounds like the old guard that came out. Oh, dude, when did it come out? In May 2020. Excuse me. It was a Netflix hit with Charlize Theron. I always say her name wrong.
Oh, Charlize Theron.
Yeah. Where they're kind of
I would assume so. I actually didn't really look to see when the comic book was actually made. I probably should have done that.
I'm not saying like one ripped off the other. I'm just saying like it just has that whole like kind of same vibe to it.
I think that's how you spell it. Yeah, I mean it's Keanu Reeves. He cannot do any wrong. Oh, excuse me. I was watching TMZ a couple days ago, and he was just riding a little motor scooter or his motorcycle. I'm sorry, and yeah, I just noticed that. So then, how are they already? Damn.
It's expected June 2021.
Well, there you go. So we'll switch this into a double news bit. Check out for the comic too, because I had assumed the comic book had already been out because normally that's kind of what happens when like networks and stuff, try to get a property like that. It's been out for, not saying it's out for years and years and years, but at least it was somewhat established. Yeah, Keanu Reeves is to play the Berserker. So in the movie. Yeah, so the guy that you see is the comic book version, obviously, because that's a cartoon. That's not the real life person. Breaking news. What you are looking at is not a real person. It is a cartoon figmentation of your imagination.
And dude, anybody that's seen John Wick knows he can definitely handle action. So this run ought to be fucking good.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think Keanu Reeves can do any wrong. It's gonna say that right now.
Or he's killing it next.
What?
Or
What did he do wrong in horror, Carter?
the movie, what was that, like Knock Knock or some shit?
Who's there?
Or Knock Twice, that's what it was. That was a horrible fucking movie.
Hey, Katie. Good luck on your exam tomorrow.
Right.
Okay. I think you guys have a lack of faith in Keanu Reeves, and you need to read the. Oh, you don't have it up there. That's why. That's why.
And then
You did do Constantine.
his 47 Rowan, that was very fucking wrong. It was, but I still enjoyed that one in so many of the wrong ways, I think.
Okay, I am going to shut off all my negativity towards Keanu Reeves and let you guys have your field day. But in my eyes, Keanu Reeves can do nothing wrong. He is the. Oh, you said that he did bad things.
No, I said he did bad things.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm yelling at the wrong person. I got two people I'm looking at. I'm yelling at the wrong person. Yeah, that's right. You said it was okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, the voice in your head was supporting you. I was going to say,
There's a couple of extra voices in my head after that second beer, so got to figure out which one to listen to.
You should stick to action because he's fucking rocking on it. So, and that's definitely going to be a fucking spike in viewership for Netflix.
Yeah. It does, which is why I was kind of confused why I was on a horror page. But you know what? I don't. I saw Keanu Reeves, and I guess I just was blinded by. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Keanu Reeves. God damn it! I love Keanu Reeves. I'm just gonna say it now. Reeves, and I thought that it was. Hashtag love Keanu Reeves. Put your favorite Keanu Reeves movie in the chats. I want to see everybody's favorite Keanu Reeves movie. It doesn't have to be horror. You didn't say that though. I said.
I'm looking forward to this,
believe. I'm sorry. What? I
said I'm
Anchorman. Yeah, again, this is another one that doesn't have a release date, but I was excited because they had Keanu Reeves. So I'm sure you'll probably get future notices when we actually see something in the future, and we'll say, "Hey, that movie we talked about said time ago, it's coming out at this time." Because we're here. GoreCast is your source for all the breaking news and everything. I was looking at his face.
All right, yeah, that's gonna be one to start living up to now. Thanks.
You know what? We have high standards here. Obviously not. I take that back. I regret saying that immediately. Not false advertising. Okay. So, last up, Sweet Rabbit says Constantine. I'm assuming that's a Reeves movie.
Good one.
I don't see. I'm not sure if Gator put a movie because I don't know what that says. Is that a movie? Was that?
No, I think it was just because we were talking about Keanu Reeves.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was a movie or if I can't see straight. So, lastly, we have Bloodthirsty. So when I was jotting down the notes for the story, I was kind of like, oh, this sounds kind of dumb. But then I watched the trailer actually about like 15 or 20 minutes before we went live, and son of a bitch, it actually looks pretty damn good. So, an indie singer whose first album was a smash hit is invited to work with a mysterious music producer, Vaughn Daniels. That's a sentence. You can't judge by a sentence. There's more sentence. Oh, so you meant the movie's not good because. Well, he supposedly from the trailer, it didn't say this in the article, but when I watched the trailer, he was supposedly acquitted of murder, so he may be a bad guy. So your instinct correct, but maybe not. Um, so he is invited to work at his remote studio in the woods, together with her girlfriend. Ooh. They arrive at the studio and begin to work. But Gray, that's the name of the character, Gray, this kind of leads to it, is having visions that she is a wolf. And as tensions begin with Vaughn, the vegan songwriter begins to crave meat. Ooh, not penis, actual meat. I watched the trailer. She's looking meat, not penis, just to let you know. It's Grace. Okay.
Actually, it's kind of the thing you did because Bill's like, oh, it looks like she's chewing on some raw testy.
Well, it's not penis. It was not cooked steak in the refrigerator. She was drinking the juices. It was kind of weird. Go watch the trailer. Oh, my hat. She begins to discover that the family that she never knew. What will it take to become a great artist, and at what cost to her humanity? Sounds bad. Really, when I read it, doesn't really, jump out. Watch the trailer. Just watch the trailer. Also, somebody who's had a couple of drinks, not reading it very well, probably isn't the best person to be telling you the synopsis of the film.
I don't know. I mean, like, all you're doing is kind of reading it, so it kind of sounds like you're good. It just didn't translate well to text.
I probably should have done more actions, like she, has the craving of meats and like acts like she's eating meats or something. Maybe if that would have done something. Okay. Well, I mean, my award-winning performance last week of the club trailer. I could do it again. I could do it again.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't say. I could do it if I had to. This one actually has release date. Thankfully, it hits select theaters and on demand on April 23rd. Go see the trailer. I didn't send you the trailer because I wasn't sure if it was going to blow your computer. It tends to do that sometimes. I mean, I guess not because you play trailers, so I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess next. Yeah. So that is where to go. Bloodthirsty. Like I said, the trailer is available now. I don't know. The trailer looks good. It promised to have some nice gore and stuff. So we can see it sometime. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I really have like nothing for that one. I'm like, I have no sarcasm, no negativity, but I also have like no positivity for it. So I'm just kind of like, eh.
He is very unimpressed.
Yeah.
There was
like
there was some cool they didn't show a bunch because it was just a trailer, but there was some really cool looking like mid like transformation scenes that they were showing where she was like getting down on the floors, like turning away. It was pretty cool looking. Like
Okay.
my arm is going like this doesn't really like indicate that's what she was doing, but
Like the
she
more
was
you
doing
talk about the trailer, it just sounds like this one over well
bird.
in the description. So it might actually be some good shit of her not chewing on not testes, kind of cool transformations thing.
There was no testy biting, at least from what I saw. That was just a trailer. It's a snidbit of the film. There could be ball biting. We don't know. We'll have to wait till April 23rd and find out. Maybe that is the meat that she is craving. Because I mean, it said vegan, but maybe it meant. No, I'm not gonna sound like an idiot. Well, I was gonna say vegan vagina because she's a lesbian, but I
I mean,
just
it would be
myself.
it would not be the thing we've seen. So, God, what was that one with the vampire that preferred?
Calm down. I don't think it started on top of the hill. I think we were at the bottom of the hill to begin with, and somehow we went further down.
Oh fuck! What was the name of that? We all watched it. The vampire that preferred hot dogs, men's hot dogs.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck was that?
Like he even like slapped one on a fucking pun.
Oh my god, I remember that.
Oh,
Fuck, I forgot. Yeah, people do not ask Google. What?
I gotta start keeping a list of the shit we watch, just so I can do a quick check. But it was like, I know it was foreign.
Yeah, it was foreign. I do remember that.
Or German.
It was
Swedish.
Swedish chef. Just a PSA: please don't tell Google gay porn or gay vampire movies because you're.
Oh, that just went off the fucking rails. All right. Gee.
They can't clarify.
Oh, Sweet should be able to help me out with this though, because me and her talked about it like right after we did the show that night.
I don't know where to go with this because everybody's looking for the name of the movie.
That's gonna bug the shit out of me. Anywho, oh, was it called Thirst? Thank you, Giz. Thank you.
Thank you, the Giz. That was a good motion picture. Yeah, it was good though, but yeah, you were like, no, I don't want to play Monopoly on my PC for free. You go away.
That reminds me that I got to write that shit down because I want to eventually find a copy of that one when it comes out.
It was
I'm
good.
sure it's out by now, but
so yeah, so that's about all of the news bits. Think of anything. Marvel keeps pushing movies back, but that doesn't really have anything to do with horror.
Well, there is a horror if you're a fan, but that's about it.
It is terrifying. But I guess we will get on to what everybody's here for, and
Right.
that is. Oh, okay. Well, we'll look into that for next week. Yeah. Bill, I do agree that Monopoly is a great game. I just didn't want it blasting in my eardrums when it like the notification popped up on my laptop and kind of scared me a little bit because I wasn't expecting it. But Monopoly is a great game. It starts many family fights.
No, Monopoly is a family destroyer. All right.
Yeah. If there's any family that's on the box, do not play Monopoly because you will have the cops call domestic disturbance.
Monopoly is a way to find out who in your family cheats like a motherfucker. All right?
No, stop sending me notifications.
So,
yeah, definitely.
Like, my brother wound up getting it banned from our family. Like, my ex wouldn't play that if he was hanging out because he would just start stashing money in fucking places.
And that's so weird because it's such a pointless little game.
I
But
know, right?
brings
it's
the
that
ever-loving scum out of people. Absolute scum and villainy. Is and the funny thing is the fight starts before the game even starts about what piece you're gonna get. Everybody wants to be a dog. And it's like, no, only one person can be the dog. I normally pick the top hat or the top hat. All right, in the chat, everybody tell us your go-to Monopoly game piece.
See, I got to go with Giz. Monopoly's the devil, and not in the fun way.
No, that's not what I asked.
Because that game will have people just not talking to each other for a few days.
You know, if that's what does it, then maybe you shouldn't have been talking in the first place. To be honest with you. If a game with fake money is
family was working just fine before.
That should be like the game that they have at all like family therapy sessions. Like, we can get it through a fucking game of Monopoly. You guys are fixed.
Right.
Okay, Bill picks the iron. That's respectable. I think the iron might be kind of low key, like the one people forget about. I'm either the top hat or the boat. The thimble sometimes. I agree with the GoreCast. With the little
that's the weird thing.
Yeah, the boot. Oh, I forgot about the boot.
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's GoreCast Unplugged, where we talk about Monopoly for an hour and a half. No, we have Village of the Damned, 1960. I don't know. It popped up. Something popped up and said there was, so I don't know. That would be fun. The GoreCast would stop talking with each other. We'll look into that, folks.
God, that would just be bad night.
Like Johnny is, yeah, that's true. I hear you. But they can. Johnny said that he would love to do a game of Monopoly with the GoreCast crew for an episode. So we'll see if that's a possibility. Like I said, I'll have to look at whatever just popped up. It said for free, so I don't know. Could be that, or it could be like spam. I could be clicking on it, my computer could explode. So Village 1960 versus 95. Carter, do you want to do this one, or do you want me to do it, or do you not care?
No, I got it, man. So, you said 1960. It's a sci-fi horror. It takes place in this little village of Midwich, and starts off pretty basic. You know, you get to run through the town. It seems like a cute little place that's kind of out of the way, you know. And Gordon and Alan, these two guys are talking. They decide they're going to meet. Alan's going to go down to Midwich and, you know, just kind of kick it at Jordan's place. And then as Alan's getting ready to leave, you know, hop in the car, go. On his way there, brain freeze. He's about to get there. He finds a bus on the side of the road, and the cop's standing there talking to him. And so the cop goes to check out the bus. A few feet from the bus, the cop just drops. And so Alan, who's in the military, hits the panic button, which he should. And they start bringing out everybody going on. And they find that there's a perfect little diameter around the town that if you breach the certain line, you just drop. Excuse me. And eventually, you know, as they're all like, well, what do we do next? And I guess we could. People just start getting off the bus. The cop wakes up and everything's kosher. Come to find out, the entire town just took a fucking siesta. Unfortunately, it wasn't good for some people because wherever you were standing, you dropped. Some people were, you know, just walking down the street. Some people were doing something like driving. So didn't end good for everybody. Excuse me. Fast forward, everybody seems to be okay. But then we find out the women of childbearing age are pregnant. Weren't pregnant Monday, but they're pregnant Tuesday kind of thing. So, of course, that kind of freaks everybody out. Fast forward a little bit more. The babies are born. And, excuse me. they growing pretty quick, faster than normal. They seem to be smarter than they should be at the age bracket. And then as they kind of start growing hair and what have you, all the kids have this like blondish kind of, it was a black and white zombie remake at that point. They stood out from the race. They stood out from the rest of the town. Creepy fucking eyes, weird fucking hair, and just this unnatural bond to be with each other, like to hang out as a group and stuff like that. We find out eventually they have mental abilities, kind of mind reading,
telepathic. Kind of.
Right, okay, telepathic. I wasn't quite sure what to call that one because they could force you what to do. So we kind of see them, make people do some damning shit to themselves, put a gun to your mouth, what have you. But we find out that these kids are not the only ones, that there have been other. It's
phenomenon.
Right, there we go. There had been other events. That's what it was. There had been other events, and they had labeled like 3 or 4 other places that were also kind of off to themselves, where these kids were born. Blah blah blah. One of the sites the kids didn't live. The other site happened before Midwich, so they've kind of got a better idea of what they're going into, and it was nothing good. The kids were pretty much just taking over and doing it. So they're trying to figure out how to handle Midwich, considering what they now know. Excuse me. This is a pretty old one. So basically it comes down to Gordon decides we got to pull the plug. These kids are getting out of hand. The kids decided that they were going to leave, but Gordon at the last minute kind of uses like his own kind of mental brain power of like not letting them read his mind, and has a bomb sitting in his briefcase, and he's sitting there kind of bullshitting with them, and they're like, why are you acting weird and what have you. Suitcase goes off, and well, there's no more kids of the damned.
They all blowed up. Because he always kept like, he kind of references it throughout the whole movie, because he's like he's assigned to like teach the kids, to kind of just teach them about, I think, I don't know if they directly say it or not, but like they kind of come to the conclusion that they're not, humans, I guess, in a way, or they don't know about humanity in a way. So like they're like he's Gordon. Out. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you're right. They never really came out directly and said it in the original, but actually clarified that a little bit more in the remake.
Yeah,
they're just that humanity aspect of them, or empathy.
Because you got Gordon just like, you're like, here's his encyclopedia, just read it pretty much at a certain point, and you can tell like the kids are advancing. When they were in the womb, they were like 2 months like ahead of like schedule, and they were all born on the same day, and like it just seemed obviously very odd. And he was just like, he was trying to get to him, and he was trying to like, it's like there's like a brick wall, like I can't get to him. So he kept coming to kind of this like this brick wall became a big like theme for him, and with the kids, like he's trying to break their brick wall, but in a way like him keeping up his brick wall mentally is what was able to keep them from reading his mind for a bit. They do eventually, like almost like last ditch effort, they finally are able to crack him, get through that brick wall, and then it's like boom, oh, we see the bomb, and then 2 seconds later it goes off. So they really didn't have the time to like react or anything. It's not a bad movie. It is really, you just kind of, you sit there and you're like, okay, it's just a lot of nothing going on. And I mean, they do make not accidental deaths, what people think were accidental deaths. Some were like pulling it up as suicide and stuff like that, the way that these people were killing themselves, but it ended up being, the kids, using their powers to have them do this to themselves. I like that aspect, but it just, and like I said, it could have been the time period, but then even though the 95 one still didn't really,
Yeah,
it added a little bit more to it, but
I think it
it's-
did add a little bit more context to scenes because here some things were just said. There wasn't really like the punch that you were expecting for the scene to have.
yeah, I mean, there was, shock or whatever, but it really wasn't anything that was like, holy shit, did you see that? Like, it's just like, okay, yeah, that kind of happened. It was weird or it was cool or whatever your reaction was to it. But like, it just, and like I said, it could have been just the part of the time being in 1960. Um, just the way movies were made were a little bit different at that time. But I didn't hate it, but it was just like, okay. And like I said, the time was perfect. It was only like an hour and 20 minutes or so. It wasn't very long. So it just like I guess I could say, like because these kids had powers and stuff like that, there was not a whole lot, I guess, that people could do against them. But fuck, man, they were useless. Like
Yeah.
they didn't do anything to except Gordon, and like the only other option was like one of the other towns. They just nuked the entire fucking city where these
Well,
kids were at.
and
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you can't fit. Like, honestly, you can't. But then again, I guess the only way is just to fucking nuke them. I don't.
and they
And that-
they clarified that one right up front. You know, they were like, "Hey, so we just fucking nuked town 2," and Gordon was like, "What the fuck? What are you talking about?" Like, look, dude, the kids seriously, like, they were a threat. We realized they were on the move. If we had told anybody, then the kids would have been able to read those people's minds, and they would have fucking ran too. So we just did a flyover and
yeah.
boom,
Like it's one of those things because I mean, yeah, when you're doing that, there's a lot of mass casualties because obviously you're nuking a town, but then again, you want to stop that at the source. You don't want it spreading
Right.
and multiplying because it's like this was something again. I mean, they mentioned the kids were like, well, we're going to try to get other colonies,
Right.
but like remake, they like literally said, we want to reproduce pretty much. Like
Well,
we're
and
paired off. Like we didn't. I
I
don't think we really got that.
I think in the original, the fact that they were always like when they walked down the street,
Mhm.
you always had 1 and 1 up front, 2 and 2. Like they, from the time that they could walk and they started gathering together, you always saw the same 2 kids
Yeah.
walking side by side. So even though they didn't, the remake actually came out and said it, the original was trying to be a little bit more subtle
Side.
about
Yeah.
it. Right. But it's still, again, like there's nothing wrong with the movie. It just sometimes the subtlety did not add strength to
There
the
wasn't a
scene.
lot of tension. Like I
Right.
mean, there was scenes that you thought there should be some tension, and especially some of the deaths and stuff like that. But it's just kind of like it just kind of happens, and it's like you almost. I mean, you kind of know what was going to happen. I'm not saying like you not knowing takes away from tension, but like
Yeah, but it does
just
take
was.
it does take a bit of the entertainment out of it, though.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. I mean, like I think the last time I really like was curious was the pilot that they had flying over the town. They were trying to figure out, like, hey man, can you see anything in the town? Nobody's like, yeah, I see people like in the fields,
Yeah.
blah, blah, they're not moving. And they're like, all right, well, go ahead and drop down. But it's and like that in itself was kind of a stupid order if you think about it.
Yeah.
Drop down slowly, and if you start feeling weird, pull up.
Yeah.
And so that was like the last bit of tension because he's kind of starting to waver, and I'm like, dude, pull up, never mind. Anything
And-
after that, as soon as the kids are involved, it's like you're gonna die, that one's gonna hurt. Like it just was kind of very forced.
Formula.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, that was one of the things that I was kind of like, okay, like, it's so odd the boundary of where the whatever happened to all the people that made them pass out. Like, what makes this little line, this little edge, from here to here, like, make it to where you don't feel the effects at the beginning,
Well-
when like the whole town's gone, like, here's our line. I'm like, what's fucking stopping it from going past that line?
But I mean, like we've seen in plenty of fucking alien movies that, where it only affected a certain area. So I mean, like,
I mean, I get that, but it's just like it's just I don't know. It's set up. It's really set up weird.
right. I
Like
think
the
like,
whole setup doesn't make a whole.
they never really step up and go, holy shit, it was aliens, or holy shit, like
Yeah,
they're so up in the air. So it does kind of like, why this, why that?
and
But
like
like,
how?
yeah,
Like was like what? Like you said, like there's no like want to get into aliens or whatever because obviously there's different types. It's like there's no craft that like here's some gas. It's like how does this randomly happen? It just
usually
I don't know.
in a lot of like more sci-fi films when we're dealing with aliens, a comet passed over or
Something.
thing was seen in the sky. Like, yeah. So I mean, like, this was definitely a little bit more like, I don't know, and like it just happened again. Like the remake definitely kind of tried to fill in those spots. So
With certain points, maybe not with that because it kind of was the same thing. It's just like people are passed out.
well,
Like nothing
right.
really.
I mean, like they actually specified we think this might be extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Towards this one, they definitely like. I get it, trying to make the mind wander because you make the biggest villains, but there
Yeah.
just wasn't like enough information given to make
It's like
such.
what you see in your mind is 10 times worse than what they can show on screen.
Right, and in
Let's-
this case, he just didn't to build the perfect monster.
Yeah. I mean, they had the perfect monsters, some creepy ass children's.
Not gonna lie, they definitely found like I will give that the kids were good, and the aspect of like being able to maintain that kind of
Old,
vibe.
emotionless.
Yeah, of course, like some glowy eyes and some weird hair definitely added to it, but you still gotta like at the base level
But
give it to the kids.
it's like I mean the eyes obviously, but like the hair, like you were saying, it was black and white, so it's like you couldn't really like you could kind of tell that it was different, like it was almost white or something.
Yeah.
Like they're like maybe albino, kind of maybe, but like because I know their skin was like very pale and stuff like that too. So I've my son is giving me some creepy ass looks like in this movie where I think like when he looks at me, I feel like I'm just gonna get up and just be
Walk into
a part of
fireplace
his will.
and shit.
Hey. The funny thing is he'd probably only just like make me go set up the laptop so he can play Roblox. That's what happens, and I'm okay with that as long as I'm not killing myself.
Lesser of the evils.
Yeah.
And
So
the one thing is like the older these kids get, the more it affects the town. At first, everybody's like kind of creeped out, but the military reassures them like, "Hey, dude, everybody seems healthy. These are not in any way that we can tell weird pregnancies.
yeah,
Aside how they happened." And so at first it took everybody a second, but they really kind of leaned into the holy fuck, I'm a parent. This is awesome.
the funny thing is the remake they kind of give them an incentive to
Yeah.
keep like we'll get into that, but like that was kind of like funny too, where it's like, hey, if you keep the baby, we'll give you a little something.
Right.
I'm
and,
gonna.
so here there was no incentive. This was just kind of like, leaning into it. Am I okay with this being a parent? A lot of people decided to lean into it.
Was it the original or the remake where like one of the mothers to be like couldn't get pregnant before or something? I thought, or maybe I was wrong.
Like they were just having trouble doing it.
Okay. I've seen a couple of people in the remake. Okay.
And so, like it wasn't until the kids were finally walking and talking that the town was just like, okay, we got to do something about the creepy kids. Cause like they all just walk in a pack of, 10 just up and down the street. They decide, the kids decide, you know what? We're not going to go to school anymore. We're going to go live in this barn. Oh, yeah, that's a natural, like 10-year-olds.
Hey, you know what? Barns are pretty cool. So, but yeah, I think that's about it. I think we'll cut to the trailer. We'll come back and we'll give our grades for the original. So here is the trailer for Village of the Damned, 1960.
science fiction has never imagined so strange or terrifying a story as that of the village of Midwich, England, cut off from life as we know it by some mysterious force. And later, at one and the same time, a child was born to every woman in the village. Children that grew to look like this. Beautiful youngsters behind whose fiery, hypnotic eyes lurked the demon forces of another world.
They're not human. They ought to be destroyed.
Forces put to such sinister use that it became a national emergency.
We are gathered here as advisors, as scientists, as government experts.
Have we established anything about the origins of these children?
There is the possibility of the transmission of energy.
Let me get this straight. You imply that these children may be the result of impulses directed towards us from somewhere in the universe.
What we need is time to investigate. Are you aware of life on another planet? Why are you so nervous when an aircraft flies above you?
Until recently, we haven't been able to make our control reach as far as a high aircraft.
Oh, now you have, is that it?
Today, their control reaches out into space. Tomorrow, will it girdle the globe?
There's nothing you can do to stop us. Leave us alone.
And that was the trailer for Village of the Damned, 1960. I sound more menacing than the movie really did. Carter, what is your grade? Remember, you have 2 GoreCasters to play with.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with 1, dude. I mean, like, given the time period, you know, I think it was good for what it was then. It could have been better in spots, but I can't say that I hated it. You know, like, I really don't have bad things to say about it overall. You know, it is a classic of, you know, the horror. So,
Yeah, I will actually go with you on that too. I'm gonna go 1 out of 2. It definitely, like you said, it wasn't bad. It just there's a few holes in it for me to where it's like, okay, it doesn't add like. I mean, I guess I necessarily don't need everything explained to me, but like the whole, just the random people just passing out randomly and like that kind of was like, I didn't really buy that. And then just like, how did these people get impregnated? I don't know. Just like the concept of how everything happened, I didn't buy, but the rest of it I was fine with. So I will go 1 out of 2 myself. So that is 2 out of 4 for the original Village of the Damned. So next up in 1995, John Carpenter decided he was going to bring out Village of the Damned himself. And it starred Superman. Like I was saying before, I didn't realize that it was actually Christopher Reeve. I was watching it and I'm just like, God damn, that guy looks familiar, but who the fuck is he? And then I think I was just
like, it took me a second because I'm not used to seeing his hair so light. It's always been every time I've seen him. And so he looked just like, I don't know, a step younger. And then the color hair fucked me up. So it did take me a second to realize who it was.
And then like I told you guys before we started, was like, for some reason I had thought he had his accident before this film, like in like the maybe 80s, late 80s, and this came out in 95. So it was just like, I remember he had the accident, but I just don't remember actually when. So, but I actually come out to find out that it was about the same year that this movie came out. So this was probably one of his last projects. And if you actually think about it, I would assume, because if they came out about the same year, I don't know if anything came out after, but so we're set up in about the same way. This is kind of, I guess, if you want to look as a American adaptation of the British film of the original. The small town of wrote it somewhere else. It's not here. Midwich, right?
Yep.
Okay, Midwich, but it's in California this time. The people in the Midwich town, they all experience a blackout for a few hours. Following that, 10 women. So that's another thing that kind of changes was I don't think there was a specific number in the original. This one, there was 10 women. I think it was I don't know if they came out and said 10 women, but like obviously we had 9 kids, but we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But like,
they said in the original, but we wound up with 10 kids.
Yeah, because this one didn't seem like, I don't think and they could have, and it could have just, maybe I didn't hear it, but like it didn't seem like it was all pregnant age people. Like I think that's kind of how it was in the original. This was just 10 women. Like, I mean, they were of pregnancy age, but like in the original, it seemed like the whole town, was pregnant, and then maybe there was only 10, women of pregnancy age, but whatever. So after this blackout, the 10 women mysteriously become pregnant, including a virgin girl. We got some Jabus things going on here. They are all given. They all give birth on the same day, same thing as the original. We get a scene where like there's the what is her name, played by the unsufferable Christy Alley, Dr. Susan. I don't know what her last name is. I know her first name's Susan. She kind of is talking to everybody in like this little meeting. She's like, we'll give you $3,000 per family, per person who's pregnant, to keep the baby so we can do, research, because this is a mysterious thing that just happened. So we want to know, what the fuck's going on, pretty much. And surprise, surprise, everybody decides to keep the baby.
Well, then you had a douchebag because his wife and his daughter were pregnant.
Yeah.
And he wanted that specified, like, hey, what if there's more than one in the family?
It's a typical American response.
You get 2 tickets.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, really, bro?
All
right.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. So they all give birth at the same time on the same day. There's 5 girls and 5 boys. Unfortunately, well, I don't know if you want to say unfortunately, because they're aliens. One of the female babies dies at stillbirth, which we didn't get that in the original. So that was a nice little twist. But then Christy Alley did some weird things where she's just like, "Oh, the baby's stillbirth. Let me take it to my car." I was just like, "The hell's going on here? Go fucking manage Cheers, the bar from the TV show." Fucking Christy. I do not like Christy Alley. I'm just gonna say that right now.
You know what though? Like I had forgotten she was in this, and I had also got reminded during this movie she plays some just shit ass kind of bitchy characters.
Christy Alley, I am so sorry.
But she's good at it though. She played a bitch in this one, and she nailed it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, the casting was fairly interesting. Like I said, we had Kirstie Alley. We had Luke Skywalker as the priest. The only thing we were missing was Superman. We did have Superman. We were missing was a lightsaber. I'm sorry, is where I was trying to go with that.
Fun but weird to see Mark playing the priest, though.
Yeah. So Kirstie Alley takes the stillborn to the car. She ends up taking it to a facility or like the office or something, like I don't know where the fuck she took it. Some building.
It looked like she took it to Reeve,
and then she just locked it in the basement, pretty much. All of the children share the same features and do not appear to possess any consciousness or individual personalities. They all pretty much are the same person, this and that. The children seem to pair off, except David. David is the one that was supposedly meant for the one that was stillborn. Like we get into the thing where they're supposed to be kind of paired up with another, because there was 5 girls, 5 boys. They're supposed to be paired up with a mate so they can reproduce down the line. And David doesn't get that because his mate was the one that was stillborn. The children begin to use their powers and make people do things against their will. The children ended up moving into the barn. Like I said, a lot of this is getting into pretty much the same thing that happens in the original. Just kind of take different paths to get there, They do that for their own safety, and also that's where they go to learn. They tell what the fuck is his name? I didn't do a good job. Dr. Allen, who is played by Christopher Reeves, he like they're like you need to teach them. And he's like, what am I gonna teach them? Like for one thing, is like he's a doctor. Yeah, you can maybe teach them some science and stuff like that, but like, can you say teach them mathematics or any other types of things? So eventually, he decides to teach them. One of the children is actually his own. I believe that it is named Mara.
I thought his was Dorothy.
Maybe, I don't know. For some, like, Mara seems to be the one that's kind of like a leader, and I thought that was his.
Yeah, no, Mara is his, but Dorothy was the ringleader, which is weird because you didn't really see that in the original. We all just kind of spoke together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this one, she was definitely like the leader. Everybody looked to her, and she kind of put everybody in check.
We soon find out, and okay, this is another thing that touches into the original. We soon find out that other places experience the same phenomenon as Midwich, and were quickly eliminated after said thing happened because there was no way to stop them, and that was I want to say they were saying Russia, like a Russian town, was one of the places where it happened.
Yeah, in the Alaskan town.
Okay, and so they just they couldn't do anything to stop them. So their like suggestion was to just destroy the towns. So they tell this to the scientific team that was set up in Midwich to do the experiments and stuff on the kids. They tell this information to them. The team is just like, fuck this, we out of here. Let the people fucking deal with it by themselves. So they flee. But unfortunately, or I keep saying unfortunately, but I don't care. Dr. Susan, Kirstie Alley, is forced to show the kids the alien corpse that she has been hiding in the basement in a nice little tube of some sort. And they end up, after that, they witness the baby there. They end up forcing her to kill herself in a really weird. They just like force her to just lay on the table, and like she started pulling her like zipper down. I'm like, are they gonna like start making alien babies or something? And nope, they just made her stab herself. I'm like, why did she have to unzip her? Like, that didn't really make a lot of sense, but whatever. So she kills. Eventually, we have a mob. This is something again that is in the movie. Mob is like, these kids gotta go, and we get a touch of like the 1950s and 60s awesome, like, sweet, crazy mob with their torches and their fire, and they're gonna burn down the monsters. Well, that didn't work out too well.
Good monster mobs anymore.
Oh, so I'll give the movie a thumbs up for that, because you tried, and really enjoyed the mob, but they were thwarted, and the one, I guess, if you want to say the ringleader lady, she was burnt to a crispy crisp. And after that, there was this crazy scene where the whole like entire police force just wiped each other out, because the kids were standing at the barn and they're like, had their guns drawn. The kids were like, nope, we ain't playing that. Glow eyes.
Yeah, with no quorum whatsoever, just took over the cop and shit, dude.
Yeah, and there was a bloodbath. So lots of dead cops. Yeah. So Dr. Allen devises a plan to destroy the children with a bomb. Again, knock to the original. By thinking of a brick wall, he's able to keep them from reading his mind. Again, same thing as original. Jill, which is some of these female characters all just kind of got jumbled up together for me. Like, they look the same kind of too. I was like,
Jill was, when you were asking, hey, wasn't somebody getting pregnant? That was Jill and Michael Prey's character. He died during he fall asleep.
Yeah, at the beginning, yeah.
She was the mother of David, and we heard the most trying to be motherly. Like, a lot of the parents had already kind of stepped back because the kids were very adamant about, like, I've got this, dude, hold my beer. but she still tried to kind of and be the parent to her kid and shit. And so she was also one of the people trying to talk Christopher Reeves into teaching the kid. She's like, look, dude, teach him humanity, teach him hope. And he's like, yeah, whatever.
Well, that doesn't go very well for people because obviously of the things that I just said. But yeah, Jill shows up. She tries to save David, like you said. She really has a connection with David. David is kind of the one who also kind of shows a little bit of humility, compassion towards Jill. Like he's kind of he's a confused child, we'll say.
Right.
He doesn't know who to side. He doesn't know if he should side with his alien brethren or if he should side with his birth mother, I guess. And I don't know if that's because of the fact that he didn't have his partner because of the one being stillborn.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like his the dent in his armor, like he had all the others were solidified, this is what we're going to do, but since he didn't have that person to lean against, and mom was again the only real parent because everybody else had just kind of backed off, she's like, dude, let me still comb your hair, and he's like, dude, blah blah blah. They got to talking about empathy and stuff like that. So David just kind of like the kids are out for a walk, and David hooks a right and goes down to the cemetery because he started looking for his missing half.
Yeah.
That was buried there, but he got to talking to the girl or the mother of the stillborn child, and also ran into Chris Reeves and in all of that since they're mind reading and stuff like that. So all of that is kind of what helped change him away from the herd.
Yeah, he was a ninth wheel. I can't say a third wheel because there was multiple.
Right.
There was multiple sets, so there was 9 of them. So there was 8 couples. So he was the 9th wheel, in a way, or not? Yeah, 8 couple, or no, 4 couple. I don't know. Fucking math is not my friend right now.
Basically, when he learned empathy, that changed the whole game for him.
Yeah. She kind of like Mara, like I said, she was kind of telling David to kind of stand in line, side with us, and he kind of just was like, no, like she was trying to do something to Jill, and she was like, fuck that, and she knocks Mara down, and eventually they were able to break Dr. Allen's wall in his head and see that there was the bomb that was in the briefcase or wherever he had it. And I forgot what he had it in. But Dr. Bag, yeah, that's what it was. But again, it was too late, and the bomb goes off, killing everybody inside the barn. Jill and David are able to escape, and the last thing that we're showed is Jill and David in the car driving off. Jill tells David that everything's gonna be all right, and that they'll go someplace where nobody knows who they are, and that is the end of the movie.
Should mention, we'll get you some hair dye, boy. Don't worry.
Yeah. I would say I have the same, issues that I had with the original, especially with the how it happened, because it's just okay, they didn't really. They led into more of the alien aspect, and they dug into that a little bit deeper. They gave they gave the children a little bit more, not all of them, but certain of them a little bit more, I think, to do in the remake than they did in the original.
I think they actually worked on the kids' characters a little bit better in this one.
I mean, there was still a bunch of them that just kind of stood there and probably didn't even say a damn word. But the couple that did, like David, and then having that the stillborn aspect thrown in, and then I feel like they added enough to where I think, I don't know, man. Again, I say this every time we do this, it's when I look at remakes, did they do enough to kind of make their own thing, or if they copied and pasted? I want to say it was kind of more of a 50-50. I think they did add some stuff, maybe not 50-50, actually.
I was going to say, I would go with more of a copy and paste that highlighted certain aspects. Because think about it, when Christopher Reeves realized that they couldn't read his mind. He was like, well, I was thinking about my dead wife. We were on the beach over here and Monte Carlo. And I realized that the stronger the emotion, the harder they have to get into your mind. And so when it came time to like buckle down and, pull the trigger, he focused on that and used that wave that turned into the original brick wall. And I kind of liked it because, as the kids were leaning into him and trying to break him, you saw like the brick wall actually break. So like there was some cool visuals that they did in certain parts of the film that really, it made the scene better than the original, but it still didn't really like boost it.
And I think
what I mean, like but it still wasn't like a great scene.
Yeah, I agree with Ready Set Game. David was her favorite character. He was pretty good in the remake.
No, that kid definitely had some acting in him. I'll give him
I
that.
felt that it seemed, because like in the original, you don't really see a lot of interaction with the kids and their parents besides like the main couple of like cast.
Right.
Like this, in certain ones, it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like the parents, maybe it was just Jill, but it seemed like it was just, they cared a little bit more of what was going on. And the original is almost like they just let everything kind of happen. And again, like you said, kids, they have the thing, can't really do anything about it. But like, it's just like, or whatever, whatever. Like this one, there was more, to me, it seemed like in the remake, there was more of a personal struggle with the situation. It was with the original, it was just like, yeah, it's happening, whatever. There's nothing we can do about it, whatever. No emotions. We're almost as emotionless as the kids.
No, I think the original definitely kind of fast tracked past that one. But like you saw when Christopher Reeves went to walk up to his daughter, he put his hand out and he's like, "Hey, babe, let's go home." She's like, "Meh," and just walked past him. You saw that kind of like, this is my life. I did not think this was parenting. Like you saw those kind of moments in parents that wanted to be parents, but just couldn't. And it wasn't for lack of trying. They had like alien babies that were.
And the one thing I do like about this one is like the tone of the movies are like the central story of the movies are the same. I just think it was a lot darker in the remake.
Oh yeah,
that made it a little bit more enjoyable because I'm not trying to be a macabre dark person, but like it just
right. But anytime you get a priest that's like, yeah, I'm gonna go shoot some kids, you've already sat there. I mean, like when the priest was like, no, it's greater good. We're gonna.
I think the priest was goddamn Skywalker, then that made it even better.
So no, like I said, in this one, they have like three possible ideas of how this happened. It was evolution that just jumped way ahead of its time. I don't remember the second one, and then the third one they kind of like, or it was aliens. So like they at least threw that on the table this time. So still not a grand movie, but I did like the little bits of filler that they put in here and there.
They did their best to explain some of the things and kind of maybe clarify a few things here and there, but not to a full. Like I said, beginning with the whole town being unconscious and just 10 random women get pregnant. I'm just like, okay.
Now, I will say, I think the best thing that they did was making David a standalone and having kind of like that, to me, was probably the best part of the
I think that's one of the things they lack in the original, to have like that kind of, odd seed in the group.
Like there was really no conflict in the original. It was just like us versus them.
Yeah.
And so having that third aspect of it where he's like, he could side with either one. Truthfully, I should be with them, but if I go with them, like, what do I get out of it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to be alone watching them repopulate the planet. But these don't seem like bad people. Like, so I really liked his struggle going through the movie.
So I think that should do it for the remake. We'll go ahead and cut to the trailer, come back, give our grades, and then let you guys know what's going on for the rest of the week. So trailer for the movie now.
At precisely 10 a.m., in a quiet seaside village, something happened. Something unexplainable. Something unbelievable.
There's a lot of pregnancies, much more than would normally be expected. All the pregnancies seem to date from the day of the blackout. Oh
no. Now, this town is about to discover that looks can kill.
There have been a few casualties. I should say accidents that might be related to contact with the children.
My daughter was involved. Who are they?
They have one mind that they share between them.
Father?
Let us pray.
You've been discussing us with Dr. Vernon. What did she tell you? You're hiding something.
The police can't do anything to stop the children.
Get out while you can.
There's something so much more powerful than we'll ever be.
What are you gonna do?
The only thing that we can do.
You can't stop us, you know. Don't try.
Hey, and we're back.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay. We're back. I'm not good at taking cues sometimes.
What I will say, though, one of the things I really dug about this was the eye thing that they gave the kids in the remake.
Yeah, they like change the colors every once in a while.
Right, like it was just kind of cool how like it just the way their eyes moved. Was
Yeah. So what do you grade the remake from 1995?
I'll still give it a 1. Like I said, I thought they did some cool spots, but I still like it's not a killer movie by any means.
I'll up it to 1.5. I did like the things they add. You know what? Fuck. No, I'm just gonna keep it a 1 because it was much the same movie. So I don't want to reward laziness because that's what it was. I mean, they did the pretty much exact same thing. You know, tweak this here, tweak this there, but like it was almost down to the dialogue in both movies were almost exactly the same for certain scenes, to where they said something was like that. I literally just heard that in the original like 40 minutes ago. So I don't want to say laziness, but I said it. Laziness. So I'll give it a 1. Like they could have done enough to where it could have had the same concept and really changes it up a bit to make it its own thing. I don't think I don't know. Like personally, if they would have went out, and like I said, this was my biggest thing of the well, both of them, is if they would have went out and kind of explained, I don't know if I say explained, but like mask, you know, people being knocked unconscious and the whole just random people being impregnated. It's just too vague for me. I just
like so you were like had something from like say, you know, communion or where like some blue light had been like shown over the
something
town.
because it's just like I wanted something to show me the cause of all this.
Right.
Just random ass people passing out for some strange reason. The mystery boundary of it doesn't pass here. I understand what you were kind of saying, like it's within this town, but like there's nothing to say what's keeping what is causing this. Like that really bugs me, and it's like I think the remake could have maybe done a little bit more to where like maybe there was something like maybe Invasion of the Body Snatchers where there's little things flying around, something to tell me why this whole part happened. It's like it's a movie of two halves for me. The first half of the movie to me is pointless because it's like I don't understand why this happened. I don't understand why it's continuing to happen. And then we get into like once the babies are born, it's like okay, I'm starting to buy this part of it, but it's just that setup just doesn't add up to me. So they would have went in and kind of give me the why, or at least hint more towards the why, because they didn't even hint to it. Yeah, it's aliens. But what the fuck did they do to cause all this? That's why that's what I would have changed.
I think
Put me
part
on
of
the
my
spot like
problem
that.
is just like this one had a little bit more of like a kind of like downplayed acting. Like nobody really seemed bothered by anything.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we both give movies a 2 out of 4. We both wanted it for different reasons. Like I've seen it. I mean, the original's a classic, but like I said, I think they did a tad bit better with the remake. But I'd say, I mean, I don't know. Watch them both. Do whatever you want. It's your life. You can do whatever you want. So, but
flashback though, because you were asking, Reeves did have his accident in '95. It was
yeah, no, I knew he had it in '95. I just didn't know where. Like, I mean, they probably filmed this maybe in '94 and it came out in '95 because you know some time before the movie actually comes out. So, but so I'm not saying this is probably one of his last films that he did. I'm assuming, or at least maybe one other thing.
He did a Rear Window in like '98.
Was he paralyzed?
Yeah, you know the old what was it? British.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they just kind of they just.
I guess I meant more before the accident. I guess is where I more meant. Like this may have been his last thing before the accident.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't know he did stuff after, like, in the chair and stuff like that. I didn't know that, but yeah. So that should do it for this week for original versus remake. Next week we will be doing Dawn of the Dead. That should be fun. Remember to join us on Thursday for our group chat, where you're just gonna have to wait and find out what. I didn't know if you wanted to say. Okay. Ooh. So. Okay. I'll tell it because I think it might be people may be more intrigued. As you may know, if not, you must be living under a rock. The Snyder Cut just came out recently of the Justice League. So for this Thursday's group chat episode, I can talk. We'll be doing the Justice League, the Snyder Cut, accompanied by a horror-themed superhero type movie that we will discuss and decide at a future date, which will be soon because we only got a day to do it, but it'll be the future for us. And then on Sunday, as always, Johnny the Giz will be back with a new episode over on American Horrors at 8:30 p.m. See whatever equates to his GMTs, where they will have a new episode. Not sure what it is. Maybe we'll find out Thursday. Maybe not. We don't know. And I didn't have to have him tell me. Is this YouTube? Subscribe. Hit the like button. The YouTube things. I'm a professional. No, I'm not a professional, semi-professional YouTuber anymore. I lost that. Maybe I get it back. Maybe. Oh, fuck, God damn it. Well, maybe we'll see next week if I get it back. So, but yeah, so stay tuned. 8:30 p.m. CST on Over Equations GMT over on American Horrors for a new episode of the television program. So until next time, this is Buzz and Carter out.
I never thought I'd go out this way. What, an onyx? Yeah, you know, like the rock-type Pokemon. It's the only thing it could be. I don't know, man. I think it's like a golem or something. Golem? It's definitely not a golem. Astronaut, maybe? No. I think it's a gargoyle. It's definitely not a gargoyle. Gargoyles have wings. True. Well, not all of them. What is your deal, man? What are you? Like, I've never seen anything like you before. I still think it's a gargoyle. Definitely not a gargoyle. You seem pretty pissed off about that. Oh look, this does give me a good idea for an episode. Join us this Sunday, 8:30 p.m. CST, and whatever that equates to as GMTs, only on American Horrors. We're going to be talking about some of the coolest horror movie villains you've never heard of. Quicker than I thought it would. That was a lot more effective than I was expecting. Yeah, pint? Yeah, okay. Maybe just a little pint. You can't have just a little pint. It's either a pint or it's not. This is true.
Don't forget, if you enjoy our Madcap GoreCast horror hijinks, we stream 3 nights a week over on YouTube, Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays, where you can see a little bit of this. Turd spoon, god damn, I knew there was something I wanted to bring up in the... God damn, I don't know what a fucking turd spoon is, but I'm mad to...
Yeah, pretty in-depth.
Most definitely some of this.
With a new 2009 twist. She pulls out of her vagina.
I'll give it to her though, because like, you know how like magicians kind of like do something and they pause dramatically? She took that dramatic pause.
And occasionally some of this.
Our favorite Halloween movies.
What's up, GoreCasters? Welcome back here to the GoreCast. Yeah, okay, I'm here. I'm back.